Okay, my name is Michael Bill Cox. I'm a son of Bill Cox and Joretta Hefner Cox. And I'm going to tell you a story about my life. As far back as I can remember, I can't remember too far back, but I was born at McDowell Hospital on October the 28th, 1958. That's in Marion, North Carolina. From then on, the first thing I can remember, I guess, when I was little, was hoeing the corn in Daddy's cornfield. And the corn was real tall and up above my head. And he made us pull the weeds and stuff around the corn. And we walked down them big long aisles of corn. And then I remember helping dig the outhouse. We didn't have no indoor bathroom, so when the hole would get full of stuff, we'd go out and move the outhouse and have to dig a new hole for the outhouse, and they'd lift me down in there on a rope and a bucket and then pull the dirt back up, and I'd be at the bottom of that outhouse digging that thing, and I always remembered he wanted that thing as deep as we could dig it. And I remember around Christmas and Thanksgiving, we used to go up and my brother James would put me up in a tree, and I'd climb as high up as I could to pull out the mistletoe in the top of the tree and keep the berries on it. And one time I got bee stung real bad trying to pour gas in the yellow jacket's nest in the yard. And one time the fall of the year, it started thundering real bad, and lightning hit a big oak tree down in the yard, and seen the limbs and stuff fall out in the yard. And all this was on Valley Street in Marion, North Carolina. In 1968, Daddy bought some land down on Jacktown Road and built a new house down there. I remember driving down there and looking at it, and all it was just a bank, a hill going off the side of a bank there, and I couldn't. So how are they going to build a house on the side of a bank? And anyway, we got down there and they built that house and built it up and brought dirt in there and filled in all the way around it. It was amazing how they built that house and poured all that dirt and stuff in around there, how made that yard as good as it was. Then we got down there, and on Sundays we'd play ball and football and tennis or badminton or whatever out in the front yard, croquet. And always outside playing when I was a kid. We never would stay in the house much. We played outside and played games. Every Sunday we'd go to church out at Pleasant Hill Methodist Church, and then after church we'd eat at Mom and Dad's, and then we'd play sports, whatever, softball, basketball, go somewhere. And if we didn't play the football at the house, we'd go down to the McDowell Tech and play, or up on the junior high school big yard and play up there. Had a lot of fun. Then I joined the Boy Scouts and met a lot of new people and had a lot of fun doing the Boy Scout stuff. And then I broke my ankle when I was about 12 or 13, riding a bicycle on Pleasant Hill Road, and I stayed in the hospital a day or two. I'll never forget that. Come back home, and I don't think I was ever active as I was before I broke my ankle. I didn't run and jump and go as active as I was. But when I got into junior high, I did play football and joined the wrestling team, and wasn't real good at wrestling. I got beat most of the time when I wrestled. And then I went up to the 10th grade. I got to the junior high school, or the high school, and I played football that year. And then when my brother James worked down at the school bus garage, and he got us a job, me and Wes Preston, a job working at the school bus garage in the summer between my 10th and 11th grade. And when I got my driver's license, I became a school bus driver. And in my 11th grade year, I drove a school bus from McDowell High. Everybody on the bus was older than I was, but lucky I had a good principal that made everybody behave. All I had to do was tell him what was going on, and he'd take care of it for us. And then I was in ROTC, and I started driving all the buses, activity buses, to all the trips. And I got to drive all the way to Florida, Virginia, all over the place. Atlanta, Georgia. Drove that activity bus, went on lots of field trips. The principal liked me, I guess, and every field trip he'd let me do the driving. And then the senior year, the last week of school, the bus drivers, the seniors got off that last week of school, but the principal come up and wanted us to drive, wanted me to drive. He said he'd let me drive his car at home that week if I drive that bus that last week, because he couldn't get no drivers. So me and some of the other senior drivers there, I went out and went to the lake in his old car that last week of school. That was something. And then me and Wes packed up and went to Myrtle Beach as soon as we graduated, and had a good time down there right before we was going into the Marine Corps. But I did leave out when I was in November the 12th, 1976. I was driving home. I met the Marine Corps recruiters at the high school one day, and I was talking to him, and I said, "Well, I'd like to go to college." And he said, "Well, we can send you to college for free if you'll join. If you join the Marine Corps before January the 1st, you can get the Vietnam GI Bill." And I didn't really think much about it. Then on Friday, I guess it was November the 11th, 76, I pulled up and parked my bus in the woods there beside the house, and got out of my bus, and the recruiter drove up in the driveway there, and Daddy come out, wasn't working a second that day, and we started talking, and he said, "How'd you like to go to Charlotte tonight?" And I said, "Well, I guess we could go." And my buddy Wes come walking out, and he lived next door to me. He said, "Can I go with you too?" And me and Wes got in the recruiter's car, and we drove to Charlotte. And that night, he gave us some study questions there for that test, and we both took that test and passed it. And on Saturday evening, they swore me in as a Marine, an active reserve Marine, 12th day of November 76, and then I had to report for active duty and I graduated. As soon as we graduated, on the 6th day of July 77, the recruiter come and got us and took us to Charlotte, and we got on an airplane and we flew to Savannah, Georgia. And we got to Savannah, Georgia, they loaded us up on a bus at nighttime, and we rolled into Parris Island about midnight on the 7th day of July of 1977, and I didn't know what I'd done. That was it's just a blur now. I said, "What have I done?" That first 2 or 3 days was hell, but it was worth every bit of it. I learned real fast. At McDowell High School, Marion, I didn't teach as much. I learned a lot in the 13 weeks there at Parris Island. We come home on leave for 10 days back to Marion, and got to see everybody, and that was a blur. That 10 days went by just like I thought, so fast. Then I got, Mom and Daddy drove me to Asheville to the airport, and I got on a plane and flew to Los Angeles, California. That was something. Got off the plane there in Los Angeles, and people walking around the orange roads and begging for money and stuff. It kind of frightening, but I finally looked around, seen some other Marines around there, and we rented a limousine, rode a limousine, about 9 or 10 of us, to Camp Pendleton, California. When we got to Camp Pendleton there, I just kind of followed the rest of the Marines around there, and we went to infantry training school in Camp Pendleton, California, and went through that school. It was about 9 weeks long. graduated from that. And they come and got another plane ticket at Los Angeles, and we took off and flew to San Francisco International Airport and landed. And then after that, they put us on another plane. We flew across the bay to Oakland, California. That was kind of crazy. It just, as soon as we took off, we was landing, and it just right across the bay there. And then we caught another taxi. When we got there, I caught a taxi to Naval Weapons Station, Concord, California. And I got up there, and we spent the night there. And the next day, they come out on Reveille, and they said, we need some volunteers to go to Moffett Field, California. And I said, I don't like this place, so I volunteered to go to Moffett Field, and they put us on a van and drove us to Moffett Field. We met the captain down at Moffett Field there, and he signed me to a platoon down there, and we started learning to guard duty at Moffett Fields. So I spent 28 months at Moffett Field till my enlistment was up. I got my 3 years, got out. Right before I got out, though, I got recruiter duty back home, and I come home in the May of 1980 and stayed a month as on recruiter duty in Asheville. And then I went back to Moffett Field in June and and the first week in July I got out. Dennis flew from Marion to, he was on the airplane ride, flew out to San Francisco, and I picked him up at San Francisco Airport. I bought a car sometime while I was there, a little brown 1974 Mustang, and I drove it to pick Dennis up. And that weekend, the old sergeant there said, well, you don't get out till Monday. You're going to have to hang around here. I didn't have to work that weekend. Said, you're going to have to hang around on Monday to get out. So me and Dennis went and seen San Francisco that weekend. And then on Monday, when I got my orders to get out, I got out and got all my stuff packed up in the car, and we headed home. We went Highway 50 out of California, went across the Nevada desert into Colorado and the northern route home. And I let Dennis drive and told him where to go, and I went to sleep, and I come up, and next thing I know, he had us heading toward Texas. He had us on the wrong road. But we got him straightened back out, and when I hit the Mississippi River, Dennis was wanting to stop at Nashville, but I didn't stop. I wish we had now. Once we got to Mississippi, we didn't stop till we got home. I was ready to get on home. And then when I got home, we got home on a Friday. And it was good to be home and right arrested that weekend. And on Monday morning, me and my buddy Wes's brother Chris went and picked him up next door over there, and I went and applied for a job at the prison. Daddy said the prison was hiring, and I put in an application down there, and then I went to Baxter's. Me and Chris drove up to Baxter's and got up there on a Monday, and that old lady at Baxter said, if you got your discharge, and I told her I did, and give her a copy of it, and they put us to work that day at Baxter's. Hadn't been out of service a week. 2 or 3 days I'd just been out of, and went to work at Baxter's working, and worked up there until the prison called me, and I knew I didn't want to work at the Baxter's all my life because that was a hard work. And I went to work for the prison, and they put me on third shift at the prison, and it was kind of strange relieving my daddy off the tower. He worked second shift a lot of years, and I relieved him off the tower, and he'd tell us how these old inmates were. It was amazing. I worked at the prison, and Daddy worked with me till 1986 when he retired. And about that time, I took over the computer duties at the prison, and I graduated from McDowell Tech by then. And then I started going to basic law enforcement training for 6 months, and then I went to Appalachian State, and I was going to get my 4-year degree. And I went up to Boone and finally got my 4-year degree at Boone and got me a good computer job with the state. Then in '99, they decided they didn't need me doing that computer work no more, so I transferred over to probation parole. I had to go to Ruffleton County to work. Well, the first place I worked was in Rockingham County for about 6 months, and then I went to Ruffleton County and worked for a while. And then I finally got to come back to Marion and work. But when I worked probation and parole in Rockingham County, I lived with Gary during the week down there. I was only down there 6 months, but that was an experience. And Rockingham County was a different, unique place to work. People were a lot different than what I was used to. Learned a lot working in Rockingham County. It was good times, though. Come to Ruffleton, and I really enjoyed working at Rutherfordton. Ruffleton was a different place, too. Got back to Marion and stayed there till I had my time in to retire. I got married in 1991 to my beautiful wife Kathy, and she died. And I had it hard ever since. And I guess that's about it for right now. I'll talk to you later. Bye.